Rigetti stock is up over 10% today at 14%, and the quantum market is booming. We see all-time highs surge again today, getting up into $26 a share for Rigetti. Now, my portfolio is up a whopping 17.2% today. It is probably one of our best days we've had this year. Part of the reason why is our Rigetti holdings. We have a Rigetti position there that's up 140% so far. And that's not including the long-term investments we've been holding since last November in the Charles Schwab portfolio. These are the types of days that we look forward to in quantum. And why do we continue to hold despite it being so overextended at the moment and things continuing to surge? Well, simply put, we are in a massive hyper bull run for quantum computing stocks. We also just wrapped up our daily live trading this morning. I don't know if you guys saw, but we had our actual live trading available for the public. If you missed it, you can check it out in the first link in the description for the free view on how we traded this morning. But we ended up this morning trading AMD stock. So if we go over to data centers, it was AMDL was the stock we were trading this morning, and we entered a position after it dipped down big right at market open. We ended up trading it. So far today, in about a $5,000 position, we're up about $408 so far today. Now, it has been fluctuating. We see this nice almost 10%, not 10% fully, but about an 8% recovery after a massive AMDL dip or AMD dip. They're providing the chips for Starlink. So that's why we like it. We also like the data centers that they're building, and we're a long-term investor in them. But we couldn't pass up this 10% dip here on AMDL this morning. We had to get in. So this morning, live, you could check it. We did it live. You can see the trade there, first link in the description. Or if you just want to join us in the second link description for tuning on in. And by the way, we cover quantum as well. We just went to a quantum computing conference last week. So when we trade live in StockMates, if you're not understanding why quantum computing stocks are getting momentum, why we've seen them surge as much as 50% this past week, or why companies are continuing to boom during the AI revolution and why those sectors are growing, then you may want to tune on into StockMate. It's the second link in the description to join us live every day. When it comes to Rigetti stock, we see them up at $20 a share, up to all-time highs, and pulling back now just a tad after this massive run. Overall, in this hyperbull trend that we're seeing, there are some levels of resistance that are going to potentially act as support or use as support. The next level of resistance here, so you got that pre-market or just after hours resistance at about 24.50. So that's a level of support. And then conservatively, if we see them sell down, I want to say conservatively, but just a little conservatively as they've gone up so much, the next level of resistance that could act as a support there is about $23.50. So there is some downside potential, and you see them up at this all-time high today. 60% over the last week or 80% or what have you is a huge amount. Part of the reason why we see them continue to grow is because of the Quantum Initiative Reauthorization Act, this $2.7 billion deal. That's definitely on the eyes of a lot of quantum investors. But overall sentiment, you see Microsoft add Rigetti, you see them add IonQ, you see QBTS add the cloud services for their quantum computers. But here's the deal, GPUs are still dominating, right? These computers, these quantum computers, work in tandem with GPUs, but they still got a long way to go before they become, let's say, the go-to for drug discovery or for, finding new levels of lithium-ion battery efficiency, or maybe finding vaccines or cures to things, or could be related to the climate and anticipating different developments in climate, because there's just millions of data variables that quantum computers would be able to process, or at least that's where we're going. And so Rigetti, for example, they've deployed and sold many or a few quantum computers, but they still don't have the financials. Most of these quantum companies while they have NASA partnerships, I think almost everyone has NASA partnerships. IonQ, IONQ, which is the other one, has some partnerships there with maybe not NASA, but they're there with Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon. All of the top quantum companies have a lot of partnerships. You see them working with a lot of government agencies, along with Lockheed Martin. Nvidia is a common investor in a lot of these QPU companies. But when you look at the market caps, we're looking at market caps that are very large. We're talking 8 to 10 billion, to some of them 15 billion. I think IonQ, so 8 billion for Rigetti. IonQ's at 20 billion right now market cap. But when we look at just general quantum news and where things are going, there is some reason why we've seen them surge, right? There's a lot of sentiment, but revenue wise, there's no reason that these quantum companies should be at the prices that they're at. We are invested in them for the long term because of the way that AI is developing, and that we believe they're going to be a strong infrastructure 5, 10, 15 years from now. We started covering Rigetti back around $1 a share last year. It surged to now $25. Same thing, QBTS, we started covering it right around $1 a share as well. It surged to $24, almost $25 as well. And IonQ has kind of done the same thing. Now we've seen volatility on the way, but overall the uptrends have been like this just trajectory of this parabolic trend that we see play out in a lot of the companies, and it's this insane upward direction of just market cap build, quantum innovations. That's, while I'd like to say that it's fully based on factual science or hard facts for why they've gone up, I can only tell you that it is very much based on the dynamic markets of AI and quantum, and looking at, we have GPUs, we have data centers, these are powering AI. QPUs or quantum is going to be a huge key to unlocking the true potential of AI in the future. Now, in the future is a key word, in the future, because a lot of the financials, like I mentioned, weren't adding up. So why then does Vanguard and BlackRock and State Street continue to buy in? They're simply buying into what could be and looking to position themselves for what could be a boom in the future. When you look at Nvidia, if you would have talked about CPUs 5-10 years ago, everybody would have understood what you were talking about. But if you're saying GPUs this, GPUs that, it would have been a different conversation. The GPUs from Nvidia, and those are big because data centers. What data center? It wasn't a conversation. But here you have big institutions looking at the conversation, and they're saying, quantum computing and IonQ this and Rigetti that, and maybe Nvidia is adding quantum now because of the potential, and so that's why Rigetti's up to $25 a share and up 14% today. QBTS is up $24 a share and they're up 7% today, and IonQ is up to $66 a share, 2% gain today. Most of the markets are doing well today as well after the Fed cut the rates yesterday, so that was a big key. Nevertheless, the continued quantum advantage is something that is catching a lot of investors' eyes right now. So one thing we'll be watching really closely as far as developments, I mentioned, we went to a conference this last week, and we really were looking for the developments along with how they're being used for financials, how they're being used for like drug discovery, for sciences and things like that, and how they're being commercialized. But we still were seeing at the recent conference, if you were there, now scientists tend to be much more conservative around commercial development. Sometimes they don't always understand the commercial business side as much. So that is something like, if you hear Rigetti's CEO talk about Rigetti, there's less focus on here's where we're doing, development of business and marketing, and we're doing this strategic thing with getting the product out there. You don't hear that because they're talking about qubits and fidelity and improving the quantum computers rather than, the science of marketing, right? They're talking about the science of quantum. So that's something. So again, when I was talking with people at the conference, I talked with IonQ. I got to talk with IBM. They had we went to QBTS as well. That was another conference. But just this last week, I went to one in Albuquerque, and the main consensus was they're still pretty far away from full commercial usage. And while they're great long-term investments, the short term is based on sentiment. And so what's happening is investors are saying, oh, so 5-10 years from now, these stocks are going to be worth more? Okay. If that was the case, and there's sentiment around quantum doing really well, then what happens? They say, well, let's get it there. And the market immediately starts to adjust and price in for what could be 5-10 years from now. That's what's happening here. And that's why people don't understand always why stocks move when the financials have yet to catch up. And that is the reason why. It's because of the what could be. It's because of the development of their quantum computers and how they could shape the future of AI in computing power and potentially not replace GPUs, but definitely improve the efficiency of how we compute things, which the number one problem in this AI boom that we're in is how are we going to be able to deal with all the massive energy demand from running AI in massive computations? How are we going to be able to deal with that? And that's where quantum computing looks like to be, hey, we might not have it now, but years from now, we might be that sector of the market that is able to support the massive exploration and scalability of AI. So that is why quantum's doing so well. So we're very happy with the long-term positions. We have a lot of people that have had great wins today. In our live session, there was people that were saying, because of the insights we provide, they've been able to identify quantum, even when the media was trashing it, when most people are saying it's going to zero. We were going to conferences, and the number one reason why people fail to capitalize on big opportunities that happen in the markets, whether it's semiconductors, data centers, space tech, or in this case, quantum, it's just how they allocate their time to get the best insights. Because if you listen to somebody on YouTube and they're like, it's all a fad, that's one thing. If you listen to somebody who says, all right, look, we're far away. and I'm not saying I'm the person, I'm saying in factual, we're far away. But if this works out, this is how it looks. And then you have optimist sentiment around the market. Now, if you can remove all the noise and just look at the long term, it looks really good for these stocks. In the short term, it is volatile, and we expect that. And could we see a pullback? Of course, we could see a pullback all the way down to $16 on Rigetti, or IonQ, or QBTS. We could see these pullbacks for sure. However, long term, what do? We keep holding, we keep adding on the dips as we have. We keep getting the information to verify that the thesis is staying true. And in the short term, when we have the ability to take advantage of those shorter term trades, we also take advantage of those trades as well. So we're going to be doing that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all. If you want to tune into our live session tomorrow, Friday, we closed lifetime access. So you had to get a subscription for StockMate. But if you'd still like to get lifetime access for a limited time, we have it back open. So I had some people say, Will, can we have lifetime access still? Even though you get access Monday through Friday to the live sessions, you can see our trades, our entries and exits. Even though you get a free t-shirt that I'll send over to you, and even though you get the targets for the upcoming week, every single week, along with when companies are reporting earnings, you can see here live trading's happening in 21 hours. And even though you get the targets when companies are reporting earnings, you could still get lifetime access with the second link in the description below. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up. Do consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.